All right, Joy Adler, here we are again. It must be time for Energy Diagnostics Podcast. Putting
Indeed.
another putting another episode out there today. We have fabulous guest Lisa VanOstrand, president, owner of the place to be to train for healing on the planet, the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. She felt the call to come in and bring it forward, opening more schools. She brings her resume of healing and background in medicine and her business acumen as well. I mean, who better to bring this on and bring this forward, right?
She's got a master's in business, but she's also a licensed acupuncture in the state of Florida, as well as a certified yoga teacher. She lived in India. She's a avid meditator, and she holds a doctorate in medical qigong as well from China, and is a certified functional medicine practitioner. Her multidisciplinary approach to healing is further enriched by our certification in core energetics, right? Somatic therapies. We don't just think about it. We don't just talk about it. We feel it. Where does it live in the body? And then have an opportunity for release. Somatic therapy is really up, right? On the
Yeah.
pulse of people transforming right now. And Lisa is all about it. And we can't wait. We're going to share a video that she personally narrates to share a little bit more about the Barbara Brennan School of Healing before we bring her on. Stay tuned and keep watching and listening to Energy Diagnostics Podcast with Lisa VanOstrand, the president and owner of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing.
Welcome to the Energy Diagnostics Podcast. Join award-winning educator and sound healer Joy Adler and musician and teacher turned energy healer Dan Zavadil as they dive deep into the world of alternative healing, music, and sound therapy. With over 30 years of holistic health expertise, Joy brings wisdom and heart to every episode. And Dan, from the classroom and healing table to playing bass on the Today Show, he bridges rhythm and restoration. Tune in for inspirational conversations with masters in the field of transformation who share tools to empower your journey of self-discovery and wellness through music for healing.
Hands of Light, the first of Barbara Brennan's 3 books, is considered a classic in human energy field dynamics and hands-on healing. It is still well received since its introduction over 3 decades ago. It was a New Age bestseller and has been printed in over 20 different languages. The book begins with the history of scientific investigations into the human energy field. Barbara explains that there is both a universal energy field as well as our personal energy field or aura. Hands of Light defines a 7-layer model of the human energy field. Each layer or level has a particular function and frequency that broadly corresponds to the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of our being. There is also a corresponding chakra associated with each level. Barbara views the chakras as vortices that exchange energy with the universal energy field and also enable expression and healthy functioning of our consciousness at each of the 7 levels. Before she became a full-time healer, Barbara was a psychotherapeutic counselor. In Hands of Light, Barbara presents her understanding of the relationship between the field of psychodynamics and the aura. She explains the normal psychological functioning of the chakra system as well as the associated psychological indications if the chakra is distorted. During her work as a counselor, Barbara noticed the major ways people use their energy fields to block and protect themselves from either a real or imagined unpleasant event. Understanding the way we block our energy helps the reader to understand how false conclusions about reality are created. This false conclusion is problematic toward our health and well-being. The wounding that occurs during different stages of childhood development serves to form the basis of 5 different personality types. Barbara gives detailed information on how each of these 5 types run their energy fields, how they block, and also what is their life task and higher spiritual purpose. Hands of Light provides a useful reference for integrating the human energy field with contemporary psychological theories. As Barbara moved professionally from counselor to spiritual healer, she became interested in the process of health versus disease. She saw that the levels of the energy field were expressions of pure creative impulses that emanated or stepped down from the highest divine reality into the physical reality. Barbara saw these expressions as universal law. When disease is present, there is a distortion in one of the levels which then interferes with the expression of these universal laws. This results in a distortion of the energy field and the chakras. The process of inner healing will help rebalance the energies in the body by focusing on the expression of that imbalance, thus establishing realignment. During the years Barbara observed energy fields as a counselor, her range of perception began to naturally increase. Barbara coined this expanded perception HSP, or high sense perception. She believed HSP could be taught and learned with discipline and practice. Hands of Light gives many clear descriptions of the expanded perceptions that Barbara experienced, such as internal or X-ray vision, the process of connecting to spiritual guides, and the experience of opening chakras at the different levels of the energy field. The reader is also given corresponding practices and meditations so that they too can open these windows of perception. As Barbara continued her journey as a spiritual healer, she explored and developed various healing techniques. Barbara believed that a healer must devote time to their own self-care. As such, Hands of Light contains many exercises and meditations to open and charge the chakras and keep one's energy field and space clean. Barbara saw that the energy field is intimately associated with a person's health and well-being. If a person is unhealthy, it will show in their energy field as an unbalanced, stagnated, or blocked energy that has ceased to flow and appears as darkened colors. If a chakra is unbalanced, disease will result. In contrast, a healthy person shows bright colors that will flow easily in a balanced field. The process of inner healing rebalances the energies by focusing on the expression of that imbalance, correcting it, and repairing the appropriate layer of the aura through energy healing. Healing through the different levels of the energy field is known as full spectrum healing. Included in Hands of Light are Barbara's descriptions of healing the first 4 layers of the auric field through chelation and spine cleaning. Multiple ways are given to clear blocked energy. The 5th layer is addressed through healings known as spiritual surgery. Barbara also provided descriptions on how to heal the higher levels of the field. Detailed information is given on how to work with color and sound. Hands of Light concludes with the idea that all healing must start with the self. Self-healing means the process of self-transformation. Any illness, whether it is psychological or physical, will lead you on a journey of discovery that has the potential to completely change your life. Hands of Light is a guide for that inner journey, both for your own self-healing and for the healing of others.
Lisa, you have such a big resume. Where did it all begin for you? Like, I'm really curious. I like the birthing of a healer, like a master healer in the world. Where did it all begin? Because I can imagine it had to have started young. I don't know, but we want to hear about that, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't want to disappoint you, but I don't remember having this real specific childhood longing to be a healer. But I do remember that much of my childhood was kind of spent in this make-believe world. I played outside continually. I was totally fascinated with fairies and witches, and I would often make my own magic wands decorated with glitter and stars. So I look back and I can see, that this playful, imaginative side of myself that loved magic and creativity and transformation. So I can kind of see that as an early childhood influence. But I think a lot of it has really just come from looking back at what I've done in my life, which I often do actually, is kind of really just connecting the dots of my past experiences as a young adult and as adult and moving forward. I think a lot of them as a young adult. I studied business in college. I worked in technology and business consultant. And how would you see that path would be related to healing? But they're so related. It gave me so many invaluable tools like structure, organization, and I really draw on those every day to lead the school, and just the practical side of things that I need to do, not only to run BBSH, but also to lead my life. Having just this structure is really important, and in the school we call that hara. And so even though these experiences don't seem related, for me, it's very much connected. And also the other thing that I think is really important is that even though I was working in business, I was also really dedicating large portions of my life to exploring yoga, meditation, chanting. While I was in the business world, I lived in India for a long period of time. I would travel worldwide with a meditation group. They had ashrams all across the globe. And, really these experiences of being very multicultural and also wanting to be of service. So I often took very extended time periods away from my career to really be able to support others. And that feels really important. This idea of living a life of service to some degree. And I also, combined with that, really had many experiences of learning to let go. And I do think that is important. The earlier we can learn that in our life, that we can let go of our attachments and being primarily driven by money, and we can learn to embrace other values like community and service. And this learning to have this balance, I see, for me, has really become a consistent thread throughout my life that's really been important. And so I think those would be some of the things that I would want to presence as I look back in my life. And I also just can see, wow, if we could all do this to some degree, we would have so much of a better world that we live in today.
Well, it makes me wonder if it was really kind of preparation for being the owner and president of the global sensation that Barbara Brennan School of Healing is and has become. And it's an international school, so I was really taken by your travels and your business savvy, which certainly seems like it would come in handy as the president, and to know which direction to go in and what are best choices. And gosh, as I hear about being connected with the magic of the outdoor world as a young girl, and then, having a master's in business, being a yoga teacher, an avid meditator, living in India, it would seem that really developed that spiritual side that you want for all people, and that the Barbara Brennan School of Healing trains healers in doing. So that's pretty fascinating. You're also a doctor of Chinese medicine. Tell us about that and how does that all intersect? Because it seems like your worlds are colliding in a magnificent way.
Well, I'm not really sure what actually sparked me to get interested in Chinese medicine, but it is something that I deeply love. I think it was primarily just an interest in learning deeper aspects of healing, and I self-taught myself probably for maybe 15 years in a very, very deep way. And so I'm really, really glad that I did that because it allowed me to take a really a bigger worldview than they do perhaps what we call traditional Chinese medicine. So I've really loved combining that tradition with energy healing. I think it just opens up a whole another dimensionality of that work. And so I love combining them and integrating them. And I plan to do more of that because I think that they are an integrated approach.
That sounds really exciting as you bridge all that you are into the curriculum of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. Tell us more about maybe your vision for bringing that and on to the next level with what you've learned.
Well, one of the things that I could share just as an example, because there's so many, is the students in our school learn a chelation, and that's a healing where the first step is that we put our fingers on a point in on the foot. And that exact same point in Chinese medicine is known as bubbling spring. And so when we hold it with that conscious awareness that something is bubbling up from the earth into our feet throughout the body, and that it contains this beautiful kidney energy, which is the really the foundation of our body, I think it takes a whole new meaning to our healing that we can do. So it's just the way that they can enhance and mutually play off of each other. And also we can use that as well, even when we're not in a, let's say, a hands-on healing. I can use that in my own life if I feel that I need to become more grounded or I need a little bit of revitalization. I can just hold that point with that awareness. So I think that there's great meaning and combination. And in addition, emotionally, the kidneys store fear. So we can also additionally address emotional issues so through those gateways as well. So we just have a expanded way that we can look at things, I think, in a way that's not too complex.
I love that,
Yeah.
because all the roads that connect, like with Dan and I, right, for body work, when the fingers in that position represent the shiatsu point, kidney one, and recharging. And Lisa, as you were sharing the bubbling spring, I can almost sense the element of water. Dan, I don't know if you had that experience, like she was transmitting that bubbling, recharging. It was lovely. So I can imagine transmitting, understanding the elements, and as it relates to being able to recharge someone in the way that you're saying would be really key to teach students. So we have to ask, you know, you followed your call and took up to lead the Barbara Brennan School of Healing forward as the leader of the school was passing. And for those that aren't in the know, the wonderful founder, Hands of Light, Light Emerging, Core Light, which you will also help to get published, Lisa, from Barbara and Brennan. And these are the quintessential textbooks for healers the world over still. And I believe they're like in 20 different languages, maybe more. You'll have to tell us. But you really felt a call to move the school forward. And it was on October 3rd, 2022, that Barbara Brennan passed from this world. And you continue to help open schools, which is part of her vision. Is that part of your vision too? And let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, Absolutely, it's part of my vision, and I think it ties into what we spoke to earlier about my early adult explorations of different cultures. And I feel like she alluded to that so many times in Seeds of Spirit, where she talked about, the seeding of the different influences around the world and how we would become a rainbow tribe. And so it's very much in the teachings about the expansion of the work. And it definitely inspires me today. And we've opened up many, many schools worldwide. And it is challenging. I mean, I think it's gone from Seeds of Spirit, where the seeds were planted in the field of the work that we want to continue, and then just doing the really hard work of how to make that happen with different cultures, different monetary exchanges, different values. So it has been really hard, but it's been something that has really been my greatest longing, just because we have so many ways that we can learn from each other from different cultures. And I think it's actually where we are in the world today. What we need is to be able to listen and to be with each other and to learn from each other what our gifts are, because clearly many of the woundings that we contain, that we talked about earlier, that we learn to work on through the different psychotherapeutic modalities, we learn in a way that those are all the wounds of humanity that we all face. So how can we come together and be a worldwide community? So yes, it's very something that's very dear to my heart.
Beautifully said. Dan, you had a couple questions toward that end.
Yeah, and love listening. You were talking about your background in business and putting that structure in there, because myself, that was one thing I had to learn was, being a creative, we can get lost in those fantasies and different things and how to do this. But if we don't have a sense of grounding to now move that forward and put that structure in there, we're just going to kind of float around and not get anything done and be frustrated by that. Right? And that's going to be we're going to make that own cycle for ourselves. So I love that you're bringing this forward, and you're drawing from that background in business that you have, and then all the traveling you did, so that as you go to open these new schools, you're sensitive to what cultural differences there are.
We saw that you're opening a school in Toronto, Canada. We see Japan, Australasia, France, Oxford, UK, and England, Minnesota, New York, Florida, California. Am I missing one?
Brazil.
Brazil, South America in the house, Portuguese.
That's awesome.
You seem to light up when you say that.
Well, I just find that I love connecting with people from other cultures. Like I said, to some degree, we all share the same wounding, and we all share the same light and joy that we can exhibit as human beings in community. And so it's really wonderful to celebrate that.
I was struck by you sharing about your path and how you were very good at self-care and nurturing your spirit, along with working in the left brain business world, and you would take time off. And I was struck when you look at the barbarabrennan.com website, and there's events, calendars and programs, and if you click on programs, folks, it's a treasure trove of, oh wow, they're all over the world. And if you look at the dates, one of the things that the school has been known for is to be able to create curriculum for people that have busy careers and to make it available to people. And when you look at the programs, Lisa, it seems like the way that it is situated on the calendar, your school calendars, it would be a way that even as a busy career professional, parent, in charge of elder care. I know whatever your life circumstances are, you would be able to take that all important time off, be able to nurture your spirit and really follow your call to the school. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you choose to make that happen?
Well, I mean, I feel that that's always individual for each person. I mean, it's always so interesting just to kind of backtrack a little on your question is how people do find the school. And often people find the school through Barbara's books, and that always seems magical as well. We often have the book. I read the book. And so,
I
you know,
love the bookshelf.
yeah, yeah. Well, that literally, that's kind of what happened to me in a funny kind of way. But I think we hear the call and then can work differently in different people's lives. I mean, for myself, I certainly was still very much working full time while I went to the school. So it's designed for you to be immersed in the work, but at the same time, not forego whatever is happening in your life, be it, a career, your family. Very much today, we want our spirituality and our personal transformation to be really interface with life down here on earth. So we do want that to be very, very doable.
Sounds like the balance that you struck, following your dreams, nurturing your spirit, following your call around the world to do the things that really fulfilled you is something that you also hold for students that find and hear the call, follow that call to the school. That's really interesting. Do you have another question?
I really like how you presented that there, Lisa, because I think a lot of times when people, like when I first started and as talking about going to massage school, and one of the first people I told, one of the books they gave me was Hands of Light. They're like, oh, well, you have to read this. That was like so that was one of my first things that I read. It showed up. I still have the copy. But I think a lot of people, when they maybe look at this, they think they have to go, like be a monk, live in the mountains for 7 years and not be able to interact with life. So the way you present this, where you have just smaller chunks of time where you kind of step back, go do some learning, come back and reintegrate that into your life, because that's where all the healing is going to happen, as well as in our everyday life. We're not going to stop family, career, and all of this. We want to be able to do that together. And because that can be a scary thing for people, is to, oh no, if I go do this, I have to give up this life I have. So I really like how you have it broken up, and it's you have those intense weeks or weekends, and I know some is in person. You've made some accommodations for online learning as well, for some of those, and especially in the Northeast where it can be tricky to travel in the wintertime. So I really like how you do that to make it accessible for anybody wherever they are in their walk of life, and bringing that forward. So that's really, I think, key in keeping and expanding the school and broadening it to more people. It's like, oh, I can do this even amidst my busy time.
Yeah, it looks like too over the weekends. So for people not to have to take as many days off, I think that sensibility as a business person, as a person that had that career, like the sensitivity around that, Lisa, is really great because it makes it probably doable no matter how people decide to come in. They can, arrange their schedules accordingly. So that's great. Dan, you said something about really changing to a different market. Lisa, you have classes that are online, and I know most universities do now, post-COVID. Like universities aren't going back. There really are opportunities to learn online. You've got some schools that are hybrid. Can you share with the audience a little bit about the transition and the evolution, onto the online platform for students?
Yeah, well, it really did start as a result of COVID. I mean, we had to make a very quick decision about, oh, well, what are we going to do here, because we cannot meet in person. So we very quickly did have to switch to an online model. And I mean, for me personally, just speaking personally, I really love the online model, and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't get together in person, because I love that too. I love being able to be in the real touchy-feely aspect of community. But I do like the online as well, because it's convenient. It allows people to not have to leave their home. So it's also more economical for many people and suits many people in today's sort of rapid world. Now, where we can get into trouble or confusion is if you're doing the work, but you're not really participating. So, my experience, having done a lot of online programs, is if you really commit yourself in the same way that you do when you're in person, secluded environment, really doing the work, you can really have deep experiences. I've had so many deep experiences and very profound being online. And I also do feel that being online and learning to do things long distance and learning to um, communicate in a feeling way when you're not in person and not in the room is really so important, because it's where the world, I believe, will ultimately be headed, in that we're going to be connecting with people all over the world. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to do it. And when we open our hearts, then we can connect with anybody, be it online or be it on person. So, to some degree, it really takes a paradigm shift in our mind to the possibility of expanding energy fields. And we all have that experience. We all have that experience that we think of somebody and then they call us or send us an email. I'm sure everybody that would be listening to that would have that experience. So it's kind of that same line, and again, it doesn't detract from the idea that it's fantastic when we're in person. Both and.
Best of both worlds, and you get to choose for yourself. And I really love what you said too. There's a power in the intention of just committing to really be present, even if you are online, to be fully invested in the experience in community. That's a great model for people, because we are learning online so much now. You had a great article that came out nearly 20 years ago, and you were talking about how you'd already been in the field 15 or 20 years. So here we are, Dan, we're like Google Earth back, right? Big view.
It reminds me how old I
2025. And at that time, you had what I consider to be some really wonderful points about how people could enhance and balance their lives from all the years of experience of being in the helping professions and supporting people. And I just want to see if these still stand the test of time, and if there's anything that you would add to it. Have a little fun here, right? So you were saying in your years of service, spend time feeling your greatness. Spend time feeling your greatness. Appreciate yourself, right? That was wonderful. How many people get stuck in that place where they could be chastising themselves, and I just thought that was a real self-care tip. Did you want to expound on that? Anything that you feel almost 20 years after?
Well, it's kind of really the same line, but I reflect on that principle, generally speaking, very often, because really, in order to rise to our greatest, we are going to have people that do not like us or that don't want us to succeed. And that's okay. And not everybody is going to like us. It's kind of the opposite, really, of what you're saying. And so, because we are tribal, we have to kind of change our orientation to focus on these are the people that are supporting me. These are the people that are loving me. These are the ways that I can move forward. So it's kind of along the same line of how we have to acknowledge ourselves, we have to respect ourselves, give ourselves self-love, and really, if we have people in our life that are negative or toxic and we're spending too much of our life energy, our resources on that, of course we need possibly to look at what they're saying, but also if it's too much occurring in our life, then we really need to rebalance things so that primarily that we're oriented towards how can I rise to the greatest manifestation of what I can do in this lifetime? How can I serve to my greatest capacity? I think if everyone was asking that, and that capacity is going to be different for different people. You might be serving your children or your family or in your job. So yes, you must focus on loving yourself and also from the outside, making sure that that's mirrored to you as well. So that's a very important reciprocating concept.
Love that. And, taking the time to, and Barbara talks about that in her second book, Light Emerging, right? Looking at any kind of toxic relationships or negative contracts that we might have with people. I love how you're adding that on. Like, we really have to consider that sounds empowering, right? How much time we spend with people because how do they impact how we feel about ourselves? So that was a great add-on to spend time feeling your greatness. Your second point was don't give up. Here we are talking 20 years later, and you are leading the charge in the world of holistic health and opening schools the world over, which seems to be your passion and part of your task in life, world task, right? But also Barbara's longing, which is kind of a beautiful fit. Anything that you want to share about that with our viewers or listeners? Don't give up. You certainly are representing that.
Yeah, I think that was very much a part of my worldview at the time, and it still is now. I often think things that are of magnitude do require a lot of hard work, and we may fail before we succeed. It's also part of the creative process where we expand, and when we contract, we have to come back in and look and see what we've learned. So we're always going to have a balance of where we succeed, and I don't really like to use the word fail, but maybe where we need to revisit our creative process and see what we need to learn on the next wave out. And for me right now, I'll just tie it into one of the things that I've been contemplating a lot along that, because yeah, don't give up. It's hard work, or could be hard work, but also Barbara spoke a lot about effortless intentionality. And I found that is really, really important, as well as she also taught time, space, and patience. So for me, tying that into don't give up, but also give yourself time, space, and patience. Maybe you're in a forcing current and it's not the right time. And so when I can reflect on myself, those qualities, I've seen that I can really step into this stream of effortless intention that allows so much more creativity and joy, and is really less of a struggle and is less hard work. But yes, I still absolutely adhere to not giving up unless it's just really obvious that it's not working. We need to surrender in that case to what is.
Very, very true. It seems that if we can take ourselves out of having to have that drive, and we can just look at things and see what pieces are there for us to be able to use, and right, because we might want to be further over here, but What do we have in front of us that will get us to that next step? And then we can be like, oh, and generally I have found it tends to make things a little bit easier. I love hearing from people that have, how do I frame this? People that are successful, I love hearing that they are still on the journey of, yeah, but we're all still figuring it out, right? It reminds me like,
Absolutely.
you know, when you're a kid and you ask your parents something and they give you an answer, you're like, oh, well, that's it. They have it figured out. And then you grow up and you realize, I still don't know what I'm doing and I'm still just figuring it out. And you just have to give your kids some sort of answer. So I just love hearing folks like yourself that you've went from studying and wanting to be in the healing arts to now you're running the University of Healing for the planet. I mean, not to put any pressure on you, but
I'm doing it with a lot of help from others.
but exactly, right? We're still trying to figure out, oh, what pieces do I need? Here I am, but also, and to use your point, looking at your greatness and what you've achieved is how we know what that next step is. Oh, I've achieved that part. Oh, sometimes we don't know it until we actually can take a minute, look back, reflect, and realize we've checked boxes. And now we can move. Oh, what's the next task? What's the next thing? Who else do I need to bring in to help me out and be support? Or do I need to learn more? Do I need to go back and read some more books or revisit? What do I need to do? So I love how you're presenting this, all this information.
Receiving yourself, I can imagine, is really helping with that. And you had us cracking up there for a minute, Dan. That leads us into the third point, which was have your humor, have your fun, enjoy life. Would you change anything about that statement?
I would probably just add how important that is. And I've really been reflecting actually about, because I miss this, I swear I did, the whole first part of my training at the school, how much Barbara talked about pleasure. And I think because I have a business background and I love knowledge. And so sometimes in my life, I have not been paying enough attention to my pleasure. So I've really been doing that now. And I have such a great idea in terms of talking about the future. And that is because we do have such a beautiful community. And Barbara called our community the community of the Sacred Heart. At some point, I want people to help me spearhead community gatherings called like BBSH fun. I have that in my head because I think having pleasure
BBSH bliss.
so
Yes.
important. And maybe doing that at some of the schools where we want to help people. So I have that idea. More fun.
That's a great idea. More fun. So in the final analysis, Dan, what are we learning? Those 3 steps that she offered everyone 20 years into her career, 20 years ago, still stand. And we've got a couple of add-ons there. I want to go back to something that I thought was really interesting. And we want to share with our viewers and listeners some of the things that you have upcoming. Because you were also speaking about the 5 wounds and how it's macro. We're also healing ourselves. The world needs healing internationally. But you and the wonderful Donna Evans Strauss, who's also a big part of the school, part of the board of directors of Barbara Brennan School of Healing, are going to be offering that, my friends. You want to check out barbarabrennan.com for all the up and coming events. I've never seen it taught before. It's a core transformation workshop in October. Let's take a peek at that. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your ideas. This is wonderful because you're calling back potentially, right? The graduate community, people that are interested in this program, which helps to transform and heal the 5 personality patterns. And you're going to be teaching this with Donna. Do you want to share more?
Yeah, I mean, anybody could attend it because one should always be looking at these, I believe, let me put it this way, whatever these patterns, these armorings, we should always be looking at these in our life as an evolutionary process, especially when we're stuck someplace. So it is really open to anyone who wants to continue that exploration, but it's also open to new people who maybe haven't done a lot of work. So it's just really under the idea that what we're calling personality patterns or character structure, that it's really somatic therapy, body-centered psychotherapy. We're really learning to integrate, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and we're really doing that at a level that's so much more than mental talk therapy. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's just that we're trying to take a more unified approach. So a lot of people are just learning about healing and are curious about the different ways where they may have limiting belief systems, or they don't feel creative, or maybe they're interested in preventative medicine. Because again, all of these things, we want to look at them from the perspective of the body and our energy fields and our emotions, because all of these things that we haven't responded to in our life have created kind of muscular energetic armoring. And so whenever we have that, our life force is diminished, and it can create disease over time. And it's certainly affecting our creativity, our joy, our pleasure. So the idea is to be able to look at all of these in a smaller way than we do through our full program. So it's an adjunct training for those that are interested in looking at that.
That's wonderful. And Dan, just to kind of bring that down a little bit so we can see, there's Donna too. We're going to be interviewing Donna soon. She is, wow, talk about masters in the house. And there's our Lisa. I am really excited about that. You also have something for graduates that's coming up, Lisa. And why don't you share a little bit about that in terms of, like, you're doing more advanced work to invite the global community to join you.
Well, we always want to invite people wherever they're at to try and do different trainings that we're offering. We're trying to really create that so that we widen our community and make the work available to some people that it may not be available to otherwise. So I believe you're referring to the high sense perception and working with your guides workshop that Rebecca Ellens and I are doing. And we're just looking at ways to enhance for people that are in our school. You can be year 2, year 3, year 4, or a graduate, and to be told how to open your high sense perception and how that's really is a function of the evolution of your consciousness. Barbara talked about that a lot in her books. And so there has to be hopefully ways where as we become more sensitive and can perceive more of what we might call the invisible world, that we also have greater responsibility to use that information in constructive ways. So we're looking at it in this course, not only of opening ways to open and how to open our high sense perception, what gets in the way of that, but also how that is a reflection of your own evolution of consciousness, and then also how to work more interactively to accept guidance more regularly in your life, be it for yourself or with clients, or just again, learning to be more in the greater flow of life, open to that. So we're going to be exploring all of that, and I'm actually super excited about it.
Yeah, that really shows. That sounds very exciting. The future seems bright for the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. with branches all over the world. And friends, you want to go to barbarabrennan.com, check out the programs, check out the worldwide campus events, and look for Lisa. There's amazing videos and lots of great information, things that you can join. And this is enrollment time, right, Lisa?
Yep.
We schools and the Minnesota, California. We have our New York City regional, Toronto. We've got Florida, and you also have way down under Australasia. You've got Japan. You've got, oh my goodness gracious, England. It's everywhere. It's Brazil. Yay! And you've got well-trained teachers across the world supporting others. And what is considered the best education for healers and facilitators and also teachers. I just want to say that my experience when I left the school for a while and suddenly had an opportunity to teach at the massage school is you don't really realize how well trained you are until you actually leave the fold of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. And what's really wonderful, Lisa, is how corporations, how other educational systems, I mean, there's no end to how the work can be used. And we hear that very often from people, yeah? And a lot of people are excited about this interview today too, and about the possibilities of where this program and where the Barbara Brennan School of Healing can take people. Do you see that people from different, like yourself with business, step in, follow their calling, don't know where it's going to go and land in a pretty cool spot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, really, the school is life changing. And I think if, for the most part, if you speak to people or read their testimonials, that's one of the things that people also always say is that how much the school has changed their life. So really we're teaching life skills for whatever stage that you're in your life. Could be a healer. We do teach a path where you can become a professional healer, but really in a certain way we're all healing. It's part of the evolutionary spiral where first we hopefully work to heal ourselves a bit, and then we're healing others and hopefully gradually expanding circles. So I'd like to believe that everyone is always healing, as it's the nature of the evolutionary spiral. So the school just provides such an amazing place to be able to do that.
Well, it has been such an immense pleasure and honor to be with you today. And thanks for hanging out with our technology. You guys were in there. And, congratulations
Thank you.
on the expansion of your vision and also honoring Barbara's vision to have schools everywhere, but also being part of yours and loving the international community and that we are all one tribe, It was really beautiful to hear. And is there any final words that you would want to share with folks? Because what I'm hearing you say is it's not just a school to train healers, but it's really also a school for personal healing. Not everyone comes to hang up their shingle, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're really a school of profound personal transformation, and we found through the years that these two elements or factors go together. They go hand in hand, healing and transformation, and we put them under, broader category of energy and consciousness, and this is what changes our life. And so this is basically what the school offers, and as you've presenced, in a community environment, and that's really where the transformation can take place, is in and through community. We are tribal, communal beings, and so much work can occur when you're in that kind of community environment because it encompasses everything. It becomes a mirror of our own consciousness, and also becomes the thing that most people appreciate about our community the most, is forming lifelong friendships. So all of that is there. The incredible transformation, the incredible community, and just the ability to provide you the life skills at all the different stages of your life, wherever you're at.
That's wonderful. And folks, if you want to check it out, perhaps you want to really just take an online course. Maybe you want to do, like a comprehensive a weekend workshop. It's all there. Go to barbarabrennan.com and check out the worldwide calendar. There's even student for a day events, right? Where folks can come in and get a sample of some of the benefits of the education and experience that a little bit in different schools from different teachers and teaching teams. So check out that calendar, check out their programs. Dan Zavadil, you always have a wonderful way of wrapping things up. What say ye?
You'd mentioned how people feel so much when they come in and they've created the community with like-minded folks. And I'll go back to your point earlier. You were talking about being mindful of who you're around. So it's a lot of the food we eat then creates the body we have. So who are we letting have access to our ears and our thoughts as well, and what are we feeding there? So to come around people that are supportive, and it sounds like as well with going through the training, it helps to empower people, right? Because I think a lot of times we can think the world is against us and we feel powerless because it's all out there. But with the training, with the characterology, you have that class coming up, and with Barbara Brennan, you're like, no, the power is here. We just have to turn and look at that and see what that mirror is, and then reclaim that, and then sort of fortify our position. And it sounds like that's what you're helping people do.
Well, I think it always has to start with ourselves.
Yeah.
It always has to start with ourselves. So
what do we have power over? We learned a few things about power, including centered power today, didn't we, Dan?
Yeah.
Listen, this has been a very special Energy Diagnostics podcast with president and owner of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, Lisa VanOstrand. We thank you so much for being with us today. And we look forward to seeing even more opportunities on barbarabrennan.com. Check it out, folks. It's your go-to for transformative workshops, schools, talks, and by the way, global meditations every Sunday. Check those out for healing meditations, and also to emanate that out to your loved ones and community. They're fantastic. Come into community and check out their offerings. And even if it's coming in on Sundays and being in that beautiful meditation, you are one-stop shop. You're offering it all, Lisa. And Dan and I thank you so much for being on Energy Diagnostics Podcast today.
thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Joy and I really appreciate it. Hey, if you're liking our content here, please make sure you like, follow, subscribe on your favorite platform to make sure you, stay up to date with all the latest and greatest we put out here at Energy Diagnostics Podcast.
That's right, Dan. And if you're liking our content, folks, please feel free to share so others may enjoy the benefit of the wisdom our guests are offering.
Thanks so much, and be kind to each other out there.